Great Grand Rising, everyone. Great Grand Rising. Just out here taking a little walk in the wilderness, trying to get some sunlight, trying to get programming going on in here, and it feels really good after being in the office all day and a lot of parts of the night and doing everything that I'm doing. It's really great to get out here to get some sun and to let the sun just get into your melanin and get into your programming and just allow it to just work on you, right? And just feel good. Feel good, and that's what it's all about. It's about feeling good. And as you're feeling good and doing the things that you're doing, you have to know that we live in different types of systems, and it's really difficult to be able to live in these systems. Hey, how you doing there, buddy?
Pretty good. Nice
Good.
weather.
Yeah, it is beautiful weather, isn't it?
Oh, you can get your feet wet.
That's it. Yeah, so the systems that we're in. So we have to understand, as we're beginning to come up with all these African descendants of slaves, descendants of African slaves, descendants of slaves, different types of indigenous culture and stuff like that. When it comes down to reparations, it's important for us to understand that it takes a lot of different types of meanings, and these different type of acronyms that are coming up and different types of sayings are coming up or taking us down many different types of roads. And we have to be extremely cautious as to the road that we're traveling. And this is one of the things while I'm out here and I'm talking to people, trying to get them to understand that we're making some very, very, very serious decisions in our lifetime and for our children's lifetimes to come. In order for us not to be the last generation in terms of actually knowing who we are before we go into this great ascension of this seven carbon being, as we're going through that transformation right now, it's very important for us to be able to know exactly who and what we are and what we truly believe deep down inside ourselves, right? Because as individuals, we must be able to have peace in our souls and be able to bring in the right spiritual energy in order for us to be able to make the right decision for us, for yourself. As I mentioned before, we don't have any leaders. There are no leaders when you're in a jail system. We're in jail. And when you're in that type of a system, you don't have any leaders. You just have, people who are suggesting the best possible route to go. And my best possible route is understanding the difference between the descendants of African slaves and who they're advocating for and why they're advocating for it. It's more of a social justice type situation. And we have to get beyond the social justice type situation, Black Lives Matter, all those kinds of things, marching and all that other type stuff. More or less on the lines of the civil rights movement. Social justice puts you in a totally different type of legal spell-binding type situation that will get you into a whole bunch of different types of wording as to who does it actually apply to, who's actually a descendant of a slave. And most people right now, they're going through, whether you're a part of the conscious community, you're a part of the Aboriginal community, the indigenous community, Indian community, whatever it is, when you begin to start tracing back your roots. I was taught a long time ago when I was doing my political studies degree that when people begin to start tracing back their roots, especially us so-called black people, bronze race people, ebony people, right? Colored people. Once we begin to start tracing back our roots, we can only go back so far, a lot of us. A lot of us on their birth certificates or when people were born or when they were being transferred from one master to the other, a lot of names weren't involved. A lot of switching around was going on. People really don't have an idea of where they're actually really from. I mean, we can trace them back so far, and some people might be able to trace it back further than others. May the universe, put blessings on you. Thank God you're able to. But when you aren't able to, then that puts you in another category, and you really might not be able to prove that you're a descendant of a slave, which means that you're not entitled to reparations, and you're not even part of the discussion, right? Because you got to remember that there are only so many slaves, and there were a lot of what they call freedmen. Right? And the freedmen, I mean, some people use it as a term, these people were freed from slavery, but a lot of the freedmen were never part of the slave system. Right? They were just part of the war that was going on as they were out there, trying to survive and making whatever deals that they can to try to keep their, now what you call tribes, nations, whatever, safe, band safe. Right? But when you get down to the Seminoles and how they came together from a lot of different tribes, they were at war. Right? And they came from descendants of slaves. They came from indigenous people. Right? They even took some of the regular Indians in with them. Right? Native Americans. And they fought in Florida. In fact, they fought in the Everglades, and then a band of them, which were the carbon-based Indians, which were the Aboriginals, the true Aboriginal Indians, they left the Native Americans there, and they fought their way from the Everglades of Florida, basically, all the way up through Georgia, Mississippi, Alabama, New Orleans, into Texas, and they went all the way into Mexico. So we have a lot of people, that are in Mexico that are actually Aboriginals from the United States as well, right? That's not talked about. And, some of the attitudes that we have, the people in Canada aren't Aboriginal either because they're Canadian. When I look at it, they're North Americans, right? So whether if you're from Canada, Mexico, if you can trace your roots back, if you can, and that's the thing, point of this video, it's hard for you to trace your roots back. You're an Aboriginal, right? So we have to be careful of all these different acronyms that are coming out. And again, they're placing them out there for a reason, because they are staging the conversation for you. And that's what they're doing. They're staging the conversation for you. Take a time, relax, let's think about that, because they're staging the conversation for you. This is the reason why I put out this meditation video the other day, right? So that way you're able to get back into your soulful self, and you're able to get out into the sunlight, to get programmed, so then that way you're able to begin to start receiving what you're supposed to receive, so then that way you can begin to start seeing through a lot of the things that they're doing out there, right? Holding people to task, myself included, right? Myself included. I'm all about decolonization. And I say the right type of decolonization, right? A sealed system, going back into the system that we came out of. Then we can talk about reparations. And in my book, how it was being taught, was being shown to me, right? You cannot have reparations first and then decolonization. You have to have decolonization, then reparations. And before you have decolonization, you have to have a framework of what we're now calling a very loose governmental type situation. Right? And it's very loose, but we have to have these kinds of frameworks in place in order for us to be able to administer the healing to the people, so it can be coordinated. Right now, we have no coordination of anything. We have no teams of anything. We have no nationalized, no countrywide system of anything. And that's what we're trying to start here. Right? That's what the 21st is all about. So some people want to be part of trying to develop a countrywide system. Other people just want to have their own little system and be a part of the system, a part of, whatever they already got going. Some people are very comfortable. But you have to know the difference. And that's the point of this whole thing. You got to know the difference about the descendants of American slaves, which does not include everybody, and those that it might include, they may not be able to find out. Right? The descendants of African slaves, now it's a whole nother ball game, because you have to prove that you come from Africa, and then you have to prove that you're a slave and you're a descendant of one of them, right? So you could be a white person who came from Africa, it was a slave, and then ended up, whatever. So we have to really be careful. This is the way I say, let's not put any labels on anything. Let's all come together as one. Let's build a grand council. Right? A great council where everybody has a part of the decision-making process. And then we can go for decolonization. And then we have a system that is in place that will be able to administer whatever reparations, recompenses that are involved. And that's it. Decolonization, reparations, and before all of that, let's get an organization together. Let's get a countrywide governmental type situation together, which will give us a historical society, which leads into an education society, a science historical society, listen to our science academies, etc. And then we can move on from there. There is no military involved. There's no giving up your birth certificates. There's no signing over your rights or anything else like that. It's about supporting your own people, all of us as one, regardless of who you think you are. Let's throw away these acronyms. Let's get into what we're supposed to be doing. Move forward together. Once we're decolonized, and then we're fighting to get our recompense, the reparations, then we're in our own system. Now you can begin to start talking about your politics. I'm this, I'm that, I belong here, and all that other type stuff. Now you got something to fight about without having an outside force involved in it. My next video, again, I'm going to tell you why it's really important for us to be in our system that we came out of with some, how can I say, some corrections. And those corrections are mainly for the women and to make sure that this whole entire thing didn't happen again. But I'm going to let you know why. Right? I'm going to let you know why, and it's extremely important. So stay tuned, get on there. Also, check out the other videos. Get on to Anu Thunder Enna. Subscribe, please subscribe, and pass it all along. And, get out into the sun. Get out into the sun and enjoy the sun coming down on you, right? Because we're in this age of Aquarius, and this is what it's all about. Enjoying the sun. I have nothing but good things to say, nothing but beautiful things to believe in, and all good things are coming to me. And that's the way that we have to feel, right? That we have to feel the goodness and allow the love of the universe just to hit us. Those rays just to hit us just right. Love you guys, all right? No matter what you're going through, remember, you're only going through it. Right? I'm going through a lot of stuff right now myself, and I have to face every day with a smile, knowing it's only temporary, and the best things are yet to come. Look at that one where the beginning prayer. Take a look at that one. It's extremely important. It's not only about the beginning prayer, but it's also about how to handle your pain and coming over that. Love you guys. Peace.